my name is Shanaye Mitchell, and I attend the University of Minnesota. I went to high school in North Minneapolis at North Community High School, home of the Polars. And I'm being interviewed right now as a part of my job with Students Speak Out and our initiative to find out how bullying happens in the school system and what are the effects on it when there is trust and openness between teachers and students. The person interviewing me right now is my friend Amelia Davis. She was in one of the previous interviews, and she is going to be asking the questions for me today.
Okay. Have you ever experienced bullying, whether physical, emotional, or mentally? Or mental? Mentally. When have you experienced this? How long? And what was the result?
I have been bullied before, so I have experienced it, and it's fallen into all of those different categories, whether it was physical, mental, and emotional. And it happened mainly to me in middle school when I was in, I'll say, as early as 6th grade, and it lasted all the way until 8th grade. And some of the things that happened to me were, being the bigger size girl in the classroom, I got picked on for my size, and the hairstyles that I chose to wear, and also some of my clothing as well. And it did break me down a lot because I would get hit and things like that as well. And it hurt, but in the end, I'll say that it made me a stronger person because it showed me just how much I can handle when people do not accept me for who I am, and that whether or not others choose to look at me or even like how I am, I'm going to like who I am, and that's all that matters.
Okay. Second question. Do you think or believe that trust and openness between a student and a teacher can prevent or lessen bullying? Why and how?
I do think that a relationship between a teacher and a student can lessen bullying for the simple fact that as long as a student feels that there's somebody that they can talk to, they're not exactly looking for you to stop what's happening to them. They just want to know that somebody is there and that there is somebody who cares. And particularly in my case, there were multiple teachers that I could go to and talk to when I was in the 6th or 8th grade that were there to just listen to me talk. And they never really tried to stop anything because we always knew that if they did try to do anything, it would probably provoke the situation and just make things a whole lot worse. But it was just a simple fact of knowing that there was somebody that I could talk to, and that made my situation better. And how I think that relationships like this could, be made to happen more frequently is if teachers don't elevate themselves or, ostracize themselves or separate themselves from their students, because we're looking for somebody who we can just, walk up to and just say, "Hi, my name is, and this is what I'm going through. Can you just sit and talk with me?" And so when a teacher puts themselves at the level that they are approachable by their students, then the students will feel more open and comfortable to go up and talk to them. But when they separate themselves from the students and it's just okay, this is your class, come in, sit down, and listen to what I have to say, it makes us feel like we're all alone, and that's not what any person wants to feel.
Don't you think that since they are a teacher, they should maintain their level of mm, so let's say sup- their level of education, we'll say, like, since they are an adult, you shouldn't be able to just come up to them like they were another student. Do you think that's a good thing?
I do think that that's a good thing. I'm not saying that a teacher should be like, okay, well, I'm going to be your best friend. There still is that authority or separation between the student and the teacher. But again, what a student is looking for is just somebody that will listen to them. We're not asking you to, be our friend or be our buddy or, be that person that we can say, okay, after school is over, can I come over to your house and we sit and talk or whatever like that. All we want to know is that there is somebody who's willing to accept us as we are, who's not going to turn away from us the moment we come and say hello. So again, teachers remain in that standard or that status is that they're higher than us, but at the same time, don't be so high and elevated from us that it's almost as if all you care about is coming to school, teaching us, and leaving. There should be some type of a bond between student and teachers. That's the only way that relationship can even last with the student and teachers, is because in order for me to want to learn, I have to know that you want to be there to teach me. And in order for you to teach, I have to be willing to learn from you. I have to be willing to listen to you, and you have to be willing to listen to me. That's the only way the relationship will work.
Okay, well, some students will say that. Well, do you think that it would be better to have a a teacher to confide in, or a student, another peer to confide in?
I guess it doesn't really matter the person as long as there's somebody that you can talk to. Because, again, we're talking about a relationship and how, you don't want to go through the whole bullying experience by yourself. You want to have somebody that again, you can talk to. And so I would say that, if you have somebody who's on your same level, so a student to a student would be nice. But again, a student to a student relationship can only do so much because we're both at the same status. We're both going through the same exact thing. But when you talk to a teacher who is older than you, obviously, they have a little bit more experience and wisdom than you do in how to handle the situation. So if you talk to a teacher or to an adult, period, you can get, advice as to how you should handle the situation and cope with the situation, which can make you feel like you're not so lost and not so alone.
Okay, but another reason why students believe that it's not a good thing to talk to another teacher would be the fact that they are older, and it's another way of saying I'm good. Like you're opening everything, like you're opening yourself to another person who is not a student, who you don't feel connected with. So it's like laying all the chips on the table and not knowing how that person will react. And if they react negatively, how will that affect the person who was bullied? Then they openly came to you to like tell you what's happening and ask for advice, and you were rejected by someone who had experience.
Well, of course it's gonna hurt, and again, not everybody is gonna want to listen. But if you don't put yourself out there to be willing to go and talk to somebody, you're gonna be, in essence, secluding or cutting yourself off from ever getting any kind of help or ever being able to talk to anybody, because you're going to be so worried that, oh, this person's not going to listen to me, and oh, nobody cares, and nobody understands my situation. So if you don't put yourself out there and you don't try to make a relationship of some kind, again, it does not have to be with a student and a teacher. It can be with that student and anybody they feel comfortable with. A student and a parent, a student and another student, a student and a mentor, a provider, a guardian, anybody that that you can just talk to. That's what you're looking for. And again, if you put yourself out there and you get shut down, you're gonna go, ow, it hurts. But eventually you're gonna recognize that you'd rather have, put yourself out there and been rejected than to not have put yourself out there and be completely by yourself.
But the students who've just been rejected by others or been made fun of, which they would consider rejection, and then just to be rejected again by an adult who should in fact know better than to reject a student who is coming to them openly, what then? Obviously the student will not feel like they should open themselves up again just to feel rejected again, which in turn makes students enclose themselves and just hold everything in, which tends to lead to outburst. What do you say to them?
What I would say to them is the cliche thing, which is to keep trying, because eventually, no matter how many times you get rejected, there is going to be somebody who's going to want to be your friend, who is going to want to listen to you, who is going to like and accept you for who you are. So yeah, you're going to get out there and you're going to get knocked down a few times, but the point is not to give up and not to stay down, because the moment that you give up completely is when you're going to be lost completely. And the more you hold stuff in, it doesn't help you. All it does is hurt you more. So either way it goes, whether or not you're having an outburst, when you have an outburst, it's still your way of seeking attention. It's still your way of crying out to people saying, I'm here. Recognize me. Accept me. Notice me. Do something. I don't want you to be indifferent. If you don't accept me, fine. If you reject me, fine. But know that I'm here. So even if they do hold it in, again, they're going to have an outburst. They're still looking for attention. So either way it goes, a relationship is going to be formed. Later or sooner, it doesn't matter. But the relationship is going to be formed. The relationship is going to be formed. between that person and another. There's no way of stopping that.
Okay. Well, let's say that this student who's been rejected so many times and has enclosed themselves or has decided to tell no one anything is, let's say, a fourth grader, maybe even a fifth grader, who cannot tolerate rejection as someone who was in high school or a college student. And obviously, the first thing they think of doing would be to give up. And usually when they give up, it results either in a suicide or maybe drugs or alcohol. How do you approach that?
Well, I don't exactly know how to approach it because I've never experienced something like that. But I don't want to say I understand because again I've never experienced, so I can't say that I understand. All I can say again is don't give up, because the moment that you do is when stuff like suicides and addictions to drugs or alcohol happen, and all it does or all it is another process of hurting yourself more. So I would personally just say I would rather put myself out there and get hurt and rejected and feel that kind of pain versus, giving up on myself in relationships in general and, completely losing myself to just my own unique oneness and being trapped in my own mind and my own body with all of my emotions, my fears, my accomplishments, my anything. I want somebody to just share that with. And any person wants somebody that they can share their successes and their failures with. So, again, don't give up. There is somebody out there. It's just going to take a lot of time and a lot of patience and a whole hell of a lot of effort to find that person.